Well, welcome to Dream and Code Live. It's Friday night. This is episode, I guess you would say 16, since the last episode didn't really happen. It was just nonsense. This is the final episode, the finale, I guess you can call it, until I move on and stop hosting duties. Then I will send the equipment to Number 2 Pencil, and he'll do with it what he sees fit. So, there's not much to talk about, except for introducing our guest, which is Wolf Coder. Let me bring this thing up. How exciting. So please, everyone, welcome the very mysterious guest, Dream and Code, Wolf Coder. How's it going?
Hey, hello.
So I guess one of the first questions I've seen around a lot is male or female, and we've seemed to have already established that, right? So, you are into game development. You want to talk about that, like the languages and stuff that you use and frameworks and all that?
Well, for me personally, it seems to be kind of rare, but I write my own game engines typically in C or C++ or things like that. And apart from that, the only other things I really use, other than writing my own engine, my own tools, is I have to obviously draw my own graphics and other things like that.
Yeah. So you tend to do a lot of things yourself. So does that make it more difficult, or does that make it easier?
It's just the way I learned. When I learned, I didn't have my own internet. I had nothing but books.
Yeah.
So I learned from the ground up, and I had to come up with my own things.
That's interesting. I know with the internet, the way it is now, people can find out tons of information very easily and just Google it. And it's just the people that have been using it for so long find those write the tutorials that the other people know now, and it's a big circle.
Well, I mean, I kind of don't. It's not really the fastest way to learn, and that's why at some point a couple of years ago, I wrote some tutorials. In fact, the starter on Linux game programming. If you typed Linux game programming tutorial in Google, I'm the first result. So that's an example of just me showing other people how to get started. That's the way I wrote the tutorial is where you start from a pretty basic level at the beginning, using maybe just SDL and OpenGL.
Do you do most game development with Linux, or have you used other operating systems as well?
I was big in trying to do the whole Linux thing back then at the time of the tutorial, but I mostly just write for Windows nowadays. It's mostly because of the DirectX framework, because I can't seem to get, when you write an OpenGL application, for some reason it doesn't run on many machines. Either the textures are wrong or there's plenty of problems you have to take into account. It's most likely just bad driver support.
I've worked with OpenGL and DirectX, but with OpenGL, I've used certain libraries like I've used SDL, but I've also used the glue and stuff like that. And it just seems like sometimes it's easier to get set up in OpenGL at times compared to DirectX.
Oh, yeah. I won't even argue. OpenGL is much easier to use.
But would you recommend OpenGL for starting and then kind of move into DirectX once you get more feel of game programming, that sort of thing?
I don't know. I mean, because it does kind of, well, with the whole new wave of people deciding to write games for Linux and the whole Valve porting to Linux thing, I guess if you're going to learn how to write games, you could start with Linux, I suppose. Then you could just write OpenGL, and that platform, it just tends to just work.
Yeah, that's pretty big news too. The Valve stuff coming to Linux, to where they're able to they're really opening up their market for games with that.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's a mistake, but I don't think so, because you can still play their games on Windows, you know. That was my point of the tutorial, is that your game will run on all operating systems.
And with Linux, you don't have DirectX.
Yeah, well, that's what the whole point of OpenGL was. And then I had some problems with drivers, but if everybody starts moving to Linux, then you'd be ready, I'd suppose.
You think that if with Valve opening this up into a Linux systems too, so OpenGL obviously for that sort of thing. Do you think it'll shift a lot of game developers to using OpenGL to be that cross-platform? Do you think a lot of developers will still just stick with DirectX?
Um, that's a really tough call because there's still people out there running Windows XP. I mean, who knows when people decide to... Because this is a lot of game programmers I know have Windows as a big comfort zone.
Yeah, I know that I was playing Fallout 3. Well, I tried to play Fallout 3. A friend bought it for me, so then you need to check it out. I guess I skipped that one. But it wouldn't work on Windows 7. I tried all these different things to get to work on my computer, compatibility mode and everything. Nothing was working. And apparently it's needs to go back to XP in order to get it to work properly.
Yeah, I got it so... Well, work is relative. Any of Bethesda's games will crash randomly. Like, Skyrim's the first game from them that I've played that actually runs without crashing for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other games would just crash all the time, and I remember having to mash the F5 key every step to save.
I've been playing New Vegas, and that one I haven't had any problems with yet, out of the Fallout series. I know you've written a bunch of tutorials for it.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly Linux? Have you done a lot of Windows ones too, or just cross-platform mostly?
Well, I would, but I did mention in the first tutorial about some other really old book about writing games for Windows, and there's really already a ton of books and tutorials for writing for Windows. It's a really, really old kind of art, really.
Yeah. There's I'm actually taking a C++ class this fall. I have like 4 classes, but I guess I consider I only have 3 because the C++ class is only 1 night a week, and I already know a bunch about C++, so it'll probably be somewhat of a breeze for me. I'm taking it anyways as a prerequisite for other things. But what did you say?
Oh, I prefer to use C, really. Like, yeah. I use C++, some of the features, but it's a big mess when you really look into it. So I try to write in C as much as I can.
Well, this class uses the course material. The book that they told me I need to get for the class is a book. It's written by a college professor, but it's it revolves around the Dark GDK and using Visual C++ 2008.
I've heard of that.
They're both kind of outdated.
Yeah, there's a lot of those old toolkits like 3D Rad and Ogre 3D and stuff, and I really just wrote my own stuff. I didn't really use any of those. So that's one of the things I think about college class and everything is that you gotta look out for outdated stuff like that. I mean, they may be relevant to get you into the actual language and stuff, but you need. I think there's a certain level of self-teaching that goes along with that to actually, if you have a passion for game development, you actually constantly learning new things and finding the different frameworks and all that stuff that works for you. Well, I don't know quite about that. Like, you can do that to a point. You don't have to really worry about staying relevant. I mean, I'm still one of the latest games I've just been tinkering with. I'm still writing in DirectX 9 for the reason of that it'll work on old machines. It'll work from XP and above for sure.
Now they're coming with was it 11 is the recent one, so
yeah.
And 9 was 9 the last one for XP?
Yeah, it was back in 2006, I think.
Okay, so if you want to develop games that'll still work on XP, you got to work with DirectX 9.
Yeah, they have an update for like 2010. That was the last one I found.
Have you made any awesome games that are available for people to check out?
I don't really have anything handy that is awesome. Well, I have a networked game running, but it's not really impressive. It's just you make a character, you log in, and you can talk, and it's live right now. Yeah. I don't know if it'll handle everybody, but that's kind of the point. So let me just pull this up here. I mean, it's all in Subversion, and it's an open source thing.
Is it like an actual visual game, or is it like a text-based thing?
No, it's a networked. It's a networked game. It's an action RPG, and it's constructive. So it's like kind of in between Minecraft and Terraria when I mean by saying constructive. But right now, lots of things don't work. It's just you creating characters, walking around and talking.
That's pretty cool.
I need to find the...
I know that the guy who did Minecraft probably wasn't expecting Minecraft to be so big.
I don't think he did either. Here, let me... I'm trying to give you the...
Honestly, I like Minecraft. I've tried it out a few times, but I don't see it got so big.
It's the thing about it is it's easy to play for as long as you want to, which is really big on people who are really busy or not busy. You know, if you're not busy, you can play you can play a long time if you want to, or a short time and not feel like you stopped in the middle or you didn't get something done.
Just like a casual game, kind of mix between those casual puzzle games for people and the first-person kind of run around the world games.
It's something. Well, you build stuff with it, but it's more. I mean, it can be casual, or people play it either way.
I know a few people on the forums that play it a lot.
Yeah, and I host a server, but it's just a normal server.
What would you say, since I know that as being the game developer, you probably play games too. Do you have a favorite game that you play a lot?
Not really. I just play a lot of... Generally, I do like RPGs. That's really the only thing I can say for sure. Yeah.
Second, let me put Skype on. So, I know that a lot of people are probably thinking about the mysterious wolf coder and probably were interested in learning a lot about you today. I know you mentioned that you can't divulge too much information about yourself. What can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm just a graduate student of computer science, and I'm just looking in to get my master's. Too much past that I don't know. I'm currently just a research assistant while I'm in school, so...
Do you, so you work as a research assistant for the school?
Yeah, I basically, they just have me work on old software.
So is that why you have a lot of that interest in using DirectX 9 and that sort of stuff for older?
No, I mean, it's because I have all these... sadly, it's just simply because I know C++. A lot of new graduates of computer science at the school, they know Java and maybe Python or something else, and they kind of learn C a little bit, but they don't really know how to write in C++, which is what they actually need people to do to work on the software there.
I know that a lot of colleges offer like Java as an alternative and that sort of thing. It's more of a newer language. It's easier to get your head around than C++. And C#, some people come from C# and stuff, so I can see how C++ is becoming more of a rare thing amongst students.
Well, I mean, yeah, students, but that's what they actually keep asking people to do. I keep seeing new job offers, and they want people who do this in C++ or this, and maybe there was a couple of jobs in Java, and that was about it.
Yeah. Java's certainly a big language, but I'd say that it's equally important to actually know something like C++ sometimes. It's deeper language and all. Plus, you can do more with it, I think.
It's basically what everything was written in, though. So I'm working on software that was originally invented in 2003 and 2001. And part of it's not written in C++. Part of it was written in Fortran in 1993.
Speaking of old languages.
Yeah. I had to work on Fortran. I never thought I'd be doing that.
Wow. So you've worked with several older stuff then, since you worked with like a research assistant at doing the old stuff. So was that part of that, the Fortran stuff, or was that just something you had an interest in?
Like I only learned the languages to write games with. I mean, I didn't know Fortran or anything, and well, now I do kind of.
So C, you said C is your language of choice, just the original C, right?
Yeah.
And you mostly use DirectX at the moment with working with Windows. So and you've tried all these other things, and I think that's a great thing to, try all the other options, see what works best.
I really only did that because I was worried because that was back when Vista was popular, right?
Yeah.
So I was kind of worried what Microsoft would do, and I was like, if they keep writing horrible operating systems, and it's not like you don't want to stop writing games for Windows. It's that you would support Linux so that you could yourself and start migrating it, make it so you could migrate over if you wanted to abandon ship. And people are feeling like that again because of Windows 8 all over again. So
Yeah.
it's a handy thing to know how to do.
It's that rule that I've seen go around the every other operating system's a good one with Microsoft. So you had like ME or something like that in XP.
Yeah, every other rule.
Vista, 7, 8. Yeah, so just wait for the next one. Just skip every other one. I actually messed with Windows 8 for a couple months. It was an interesting operating system. It had its pros and cons. It was definitely felt like an entirely different beast than the original Windows, though. I mean, a lot of the shortcuts worked in the same way and everything, but the whole thing between the Metro and the actual desktop and everything, it took a little getting used to. Yeah, it took a little getting used to, and I don't know how well it's going to work out because they're with gaming, maybe.
I don't really. I think a lot of people decided the problem is that Windows 7 still works.
Yeah.
So they can easily decide to, they can decide they don't like it before it even comes out, based on the fact that, well, I don't want to buy it. It still works. Why would I want to upgrade? I mean, it still plays my games and stuff.
Yeah.
Despite Microsoft's best efforts to try to get people to upgrade on Vista, it still didn't work. So
I think I'll probably be using for Windows 7 for a while, even after 8's out.
Yeah, it was like that for XP. I think I used XP for almost a decade.
Yeah, for my class I was just mentioning that uses the older stuff, C++ 2008. I'm actually set up a virtual machine with XP on it.
Oh, I wrote the game that I'm currently working on in Visual Studio 2005.
Speaking that's quite a few versions back.
It still works in Windows 7.
Yeah. Do you find is there any benefit to using older IDEs like that?
Well, the only reason I use it is because I don't see what the benefit is to using newer ones.
It doesn't add anything that you particularly need.
The only difference I can tell between them is that the interface is harder to use when you get newer.
I know they add on to stuff like using the Windows presentation, was it framework or foundation? WPF.
Yeah, I don't use whatever that is.
Yeah, so if you don't really use any of the new stuff, I can see how you don't really need to upgrade it.
I mean, this still works here. I mean,
and then 2012, the newest one is when they're introducing the new C++, right?
Yeah, or something. I can get those versions. I mean, I have I had one of those MSDN and AK Academy things from my school, and I could get free versions. So even when offered the free professional edition of whatever the newest one is, I still keep with 2005 standard academic edition.
It's good. It's interesting to hear just how much. I mean, not just with you. I'm talking about with the general population. How much people stay behind in versions of software and still using XP. XP is a great operating system. It's still heavily in use today, and that's why you see so many people still using the older Internet Explorers online too.
Yeah, well, there's some things you should upgrade simply because of security reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
XP's officially, they don't really update it anymore, do they?
Yeah, that's why I meant, like, Windows 7 is, that's why I'm thinking, you can't just sit there forever. You're going to have to, if you don't want to use the newer versions of Microsoft operating system, you're going to have to eventually abandon ship. So that's what the whole point with, moving to Linux.
Linux is constantly updated. I think I use Linux for a while. I've used all the operating systems, even Mac, for extended periods of time. And on Linux, definitely I've seen the most updates of any of the operating systems. Constantly, sometimes several times a day. So I think it's mainly because if you use the package managers, like all the software that's installed is always, all of it together looks for updates and stuff. Whereas if you go with like Windows, just checks for Windows updates. It doesn't really check for updates for all your software you've installed.
Well, it checks for updates for some software.
For like, ones that actually register Microsoft products and stuff like
Yeah,
Office, it'll check for updates for that.
There's several things that you have to manually tell it that. It doesn't do that. You actually have to click on I want updates for other stuff.
And I think that's one of the things that they're trying to change with their new operating system, Windows 8, with the whole App Store they got built into it now, where you can download all the apps and games straight from the Microsoft App Store.
Yeah, they're trying to basically turn your computer into a phone because it's popular at the time. So that's why I'm thinking eventually if Microsoft keeps it up, I'm going to go back to Linux again.
I know that they're really pushing a lot of that touchscreen stuff. That it seems like that they're pushing that technology, kind of trying to force people to start using it with their new operating system. Do you think that touchscreens have any benefit to gaming, to tie back into the whole gaming theme?
It really strongly depends on the genre, because the answer is yes, but you need a stylus, let me tell you that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, some games I can see would be pretty difficult doing touchscreen with, especially since you have like all sorts of things that you got to do. It just seems like a keyboard is generally better preferred for those type of games.
Yeah, I mean, I've played games on Nintendo DS. That's a touchscreen. Yeah. That's been around since 2005, and when it works, it works. But when it doesn't work, you can feel your hands kind of. You're like, I wish I could just use the buttons,
I've seen some interesting games. I know that some games have the little controls, kind of like a little bit transparent on the whole screen with little directional pads and some buttons to press, to where you're like holding a tablet like this, like it's a controller, but you see the whole screen. That seems like an interesting way to kind of handle that type of game.
It doesn't really work, though. It's like that was like a gimmick in WarioWare just to be funny, but...
is it because there's any sort of latency problem with using that type of touchscreen?
I think it's just... I don't even... The problem I have with touchscreens is I don't want to actually touch my screen.
Neither do I, and I actually just recently bought a new computer, and it's still being shipped. I'm still waiting for it to get here, but I didn't want a touchscreen. That's one thing I knew for sure, because I have a phone, and my phone is it's a smart touchscreen phone, and it gets so dirty all the time for all my hand oils and stuff, and I'm always watching my hands, and it still gets dirty.
Yeah, I don't really like touching my screen, and I like having a large screen. So if your screen is huge, then a touch interface is like the worst thing you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest complaint about Metro or Unity or anything, is that my screen is huge. I don't want to have to sit here and pretend it's a touchscreen, because they have to move their mouse all the way over here and there and all that stuff.
I could see how, thinking of a future point of view, that something like Windows 8 type of technology would maybe progress into something like the movie Minority Report, where they got all the screens and they're sliding the stuff around, and maybe they're trying to progress to that type of a technology.
Well, I'm one of the people who would actually not like using a computer like Minority Report. I just want the keyboard,
Some people, they just, they like the things the way they are, they work and everything like that, and that's fine, whatever works. And then there's the people out there that just, every time something new comes along, they're like, oh, I want this now.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of hard to please both sides.
It's a simple fact that the keyboard's the fastest device, because even people who use Linux all the time will tell you that too, where you can see them pretty much do all their work in a couple of moments because they type on the keyboard. They don't even use the mouse.
Yeah, I looked up because I was playing some games over the summer, wasting some time waiting for classes to start. I have an Xbox controller that plugs into the USB port, and I was looking up like how to set up this game to work with my controller and everything, and people were just saying, just use your keyboard and mouse. It's actually faster.
Yeah.
And would you agree with that type of comment, or would you say it depends kind of what you're better with? It depends. I mean, I know that if you're better with a controller, of course it's going to work faster for you, but if you're at the same proficiency with a keyboard and mouse versus a controller, one would be better than the other as far as speed goes and accuracy.
Well, I've noticed that. I mean, I actually got used to both because we play Halo with my friend all the time. Because we would hang out, and then what would happen is we would like do something, and then we would try to figure out what to do for the next of the time. So I just kept up and playing Halo Reach over and over again.
Yeah.
So that's how I actually I could actually, use it fast, but the mouse is still, for the mouse, you can look directly at your enemy in an instant. It lets you have a pointer position on that. It's slightly absolute. It's not, you still have to move your finger.
Yeah.
But you can turn up the sensitivity and still be able to just look directly at what you want instantly. And there's still a big noticeable difference in computer first-person games and on console.
I know every year it seems these games are getting more and more realistic in their graphics. And one more question before I go to this commercial thing. Do you think that eventually we're going to get to the point where it's almost as realistic playing these video games? And I mean, are some games worth having that sort of realism?
Well, I don't really particularly care about that. I mean, the only thing I care about in a video game is if it's fun.
Yeah, I love the cartoony games, to be honest. The ones with the more cartoony graphics.
Well, I can go any way. I don't care if it's photorealistic or if it's not. You can still mess up visual cues and stuff in a simplistic game from 90s or in a realistic game. You still gotta design it, but it doesn't really add or subtract too much from the game for me.
Yeah, the big part is playability, maybe repeatability. To see how many times you could actually play the game, because if you just play it once all the way through and then you're kind of done.
Yeah, I like replayable games.
I'm going to go to this commercial number 2 Pencil has, and then when we come back, we'll talk more about Wolf Coder rather than game development.
Okay, well, that's basically what Wolf Coder is.
I'm gonna mute this, and I got to play this thing. So,
all right.
Having problems with your laptop? Computer Design and Repair has been servicing the Cuyahoga Falls area since 2003. Stop in for your free diagnostics. Computer Design and Repair offers flat rate repairs, no surprise costs or fees. Cracked or broken LCD, only $185. Broken or missing keys, just $50. Laptop isn't charging when plugged in, loose jack where the adapter plugs in. We'll replace your DC jack for just $125. Virus removal, only $87. All work is done in-house to offer you a fast turnaround time. We can get your laptop repaired and back to you in 2 to 3 days. Located in downtown Cuyahoga Falls at 125 Portage Trail. Call Computer Design and Repair at 330-929-2600 with any questions or to schedule your free diagnostics. 330-929-2600. Computer Design and Repair.
Hey, we're back. For those just joining us, we have with us Wolf Coder from the forums, who is really big into game development. And I thought that we can actually see if anybody's got any interesting questions for you. One was from Modi123 saying, what's up with the anime love?
Well, I like anime. I don't watch it as much as I try to, because stuff comes up. I've been meaning to watch a lot, more, but it's pretty basic. I like anime. If I can somehow get this to load, I may be able to show you, answer a bit more about what I like. I don't know what OpenGL ES is.
I think it's more ES is the iPhone thing, the developing games on iPhone.
I write everything in C pretty much, so.
So let's see this link here. So you like? There's more than one type of anime you would say, like for the people.
I can't really give genres or anything, so this is better. I hope it's sorted. You might have to click on score, but I basically list all the stuff I like from most to what I really hate at the bottom.
Oh, so you actually made this whole list for this?
Yeah, I was bored one day and was on this website wasting time trying to remember. It even tells you how many days I've watched.
Unfortunately, I only have one screen, so I can't really display it. Otherwise, actually I can, but let me switch over to my other thing here. Screen mode, go! There we go, that should show up. So these are your ratings and your progress on these shows?
I usually only add something if I completed it, or if it's so horrible I decided just to not watch it.
So the dropped is the stuff that you didn't bother finishing?
Yeah, there's this stuff so bad I can't. It's like I can't watch it. It's so bad that even I couldn't watch it.
So number one would be your favorite.
Um, well, the top 10, 15 would be.
It's interesting. So yeah, if anybody's interested in anime, there's your list right there to go check out. Wolf Coder's personal preference list. I might check out some of these. So I know that another thing would be an interesting topic is that you've expressed an interest or some sort of. Let's see if I can find it. It's in your signature talking about furries.
Oh yeah, it's pretty simple, really.
So how would you explain that sort of?
Oh well, everybody has their own description of what a furry is. It's unique.
Yeah.
But there is one thing you can say is that of all of the things you've seen them do, everybody does a subset of those, or maybe a little bit of everything to that degree. I mean, you can still go and be able to tell whether somebody is a furry or not. I mean, you can still you can identify them that way, and that's my point. It's just that the only thing that we don't do is bestiality.
Yeah. I think
So
I think it's perverted a lot by people. Is the problem.
Well, I don't. I just told you that's the only thing that we don't actually do. That's the only misconception.
Yeah.
The rest of it is, everybody does a subset of the thing, but they're all perfectly valid ways to be part of whatever they call it. It's just like a identity, really.
Yeah.
That's basically the best description.
And let's see now. Any other questions in the chat? I can actually bring this up. Actually, I set this up before the show. Let's see if I can do this.
Oh yeah, I know a couple of people. If you're wondering, I do actually know a handful of people who go out in suits and everything.
See, I set it up to where I can display the chat. Hey everybody, you're on the show. Look at that. What's your future job post grad school? From Monty.
Well, I know so much random stuff about security and biology, and honestly, that was the point, is that I can do lots of things. But the one thing you can always fall back on is, with a master's degree, you could always teach. So, I mean, that's what my father does, and I think that's what my mother does, and now it's what my sister does, so.
Cable, sorry. Tangling up around my foot. I don't know how it happens, but I'm just sitting here and somehow the cables get wrapped around my feet. My Lake syndrome or something like that.
Yeah. I wish I could really tell you more about furries, but basically just go and ask them yourself. I mean, that would be the best way to learn about them. Just ask a bunch of them questions. They all give different answers, but you'll learn a lot.
So it's more of it's a label for a very broad type of people.
Well, I wouldn't say broad. I mean, they all basically have animal personas and all that stuff like that. There's a lot of common things, but if you ask them yourself, you learn a lot more than I can tell you.
Marty's got another question. He said, well, outside of game stream code, anime, and Dick TV, which is what do you do for kicks? I don't know why Dick TV was added.
Rarely I have to draw, so I actually practice drawing sometimes.
So, because you do your own art and stuff for the games you make?
Yeah, I mean, I have to. It's basically, eventually I have to compose my own music and everything.
That's pretty interesting. You're kind of like a one-man band with all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have my own internet. I can't just sit there and post on forums and beg people to make the game for me. I have to do everything.
Yeah, I know exactly, because I got like these ideas for some things I want to make, but I may not know anybody who actually does like 3D modeling or something. So I'm actually in the process, because I know through education means you can get a lot of stuff for free, such as 3D Studio Max. I can get it for free. So I'm installing that, and I'm actually teaching myself how to do 3D modeling.
Yeah, I mean, teach yourself is better. I mean, even if a lot of people say they aren't good at it, but neither am I, but that doesn't stop me.
You got it. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is skill-based or how much of it is just persistent practice.
Oh, well, for me, it's persistent practice. I can tell you that.
Some people can practice all they want and never really get to be as good as some of the people that have the natural skill in it. But that shouldn't deter anybody from doing it.
Well, I don't know. Those people, I would say it's a lack of passion. I mean, if you care about it, then you can.
Yeah.
It does take a lot of effort. You know, you gotta. If you have effort, you'll be able to go somewhere with it. It doesn't matter if you go not very far. But for me, I doing it because if I can produce the artwork and it works enough, then at least it's, I have my own. At least I did it myself. That's
Yeah.
the important.
I really think that a place in game, a big part of game development, if you're interested in trying to get people interested in your idea, is showing the work you've already done, rather than just going in there and saying, "Hey, I have this idea. Who's going to make it for me? I'll pay you after it's published and everything." It's good if you already have some sort of if you see some sort, if you do programming or you do art or something, like make some concept drawings and stuff like that, and hash out a lot of things. And I think showing that you have a vested interest in actually making this might get some more people on board than if you just go in there and be all with nothing.
I've seen nothing happen either way. I've seen lots and lots of requests like that where they have a portfolio and they even have like pages and pages of written stuff and all that. And I've seen people just pass it by all the time. It seems like you've got to learn it yourself.
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes with this, because I'm interested in game development and stuff like that. Sometimes I kind of just throw up my hands and be like, okay, I'm gonna take a break from this because I messed with OpenGL. DirectX kind of was one for me for a while. I think I definitely am comfortable with OpenGL than I am DirectX, and I've also messed with XNA, which is kind of watered down a bit.
I really would not want to. I've written in XNA before. I wouldn't really want to do that again.
I think the main benefit to XNA is it's very simple for those who actually want to mess around with game development but aren't looking to make some sort of big blockbuster type game. Although, you can make some decent stuff if you have the right skills.
I would recommend people like that just to pick up a studio or write the engine themselves. I mean, There is one engine I do use, simply because they wrote the engine better than I think I could ever, is that Acnex engine thing I said a long time ago. Let me try pulling it up.
Definitely. When you have XNA, so as far as a free tool goes, I'd recommend using something like UDK first or something.
Or anything but XNA, I would recommend.
UDK, Unity, I've mentioned those tools before. They're basically game development frameworks that allow you to use scripting and 3D models and kind of like with their engine.
Yeah, Unity looks like a good bet.
Unity and UDK I know both free to use, but if you want to publish any type of game that you make, it's going to cost you a licensing fee.
Yeah, FBOD's like
that. The CryEngine, I'm not exactly sure if that's free to use or anything like that, if it's the same type of thing. I didn't look too much into it. I know that the CryEngine is way more... It's more complicated to use, but I think that the graphics are much more crisp. That's a word you can use. It looks more realistic and stuff. So if you're into that, then you can look into that type of thing.
Well, the engine I just linked is pretty much, well, it's not free, but it's a high performance engine. They've been working on it for years, and they basically every iteration has made it even faster to do the same old things it always has. And so that's what I meant by you got a team of 5 people working years to perfect this one engine. I don't think I can do it better myself, so I might as well just use it. And it's easy to use too.
And it's you're able to use it straight from within C++ and that sort of stuff. Oh, I see it. You import stuff from 3D Studio Max.
Oh, actually, in 3D Game Studio, you just write your game. You could, if you want to, write your game in C, or you can actually build a plugin in C++ straight up and use that. But they now let you just write C, but they give you the parallel functions and all of the features from the engine at the same time, so you can really quickly write a game in C with that.
It's one of those topics of whether or not it's relevant to reinvent the wheel for what you're working on, because these people, like you said, have been working for years to perfect this game engine. Is it worth trying to create your own? versus
Well, yeah,
this.
I would say yes. Actually, well, that's only because I think it's fun.
It's if you want to get a deeper knowledge, definitely try to create your own.
Yeah, or if you're bored on the train and you work on game engines, I suppose.
I guess a game engine, like a simple game engine that makes it easy to import your artwork and create a game, would be useful to artists who don't really have any background. They just want to use their art and see how it would work in a sort of environment.
Yeah, they're sort of. Well, you still kind of have to know how to make a game. You just don't have to actually write it.
Yeah.
Or at least at the level you would if you making the game engine. Like they give you a simple scripting language or something that you could put together the objects, and that's actually the technical answer of how to make a game. Is you have a room and you put the objects in there and they have behaviors. That's pretty much. I mean, that's what the guy said at the interview when he was making Rogue Squadron. He's like, well, this is how you make a game.
Yeah.
Just pointed to a screen with the world editor open, and he was just placing trees and objects and stuff.
Just connecting things.
Yeah.
Keeping people from walking through it. Would you agree? Would you agree that it's better to rush a product and to update it rather than to spend a lot of time in the development process and until it's perfect?
It's better to rush it out. I mean, my own that one game I was working on, even though it's just tinkering with it, the code is neat but kind of still sloppy. But I want this to actually be seen and made and exist. I've seen people like that all the time where they say, well, we're going to write it good and well and have good engineering, and their stuff never makes it out. Their stuff never is existing. So they make all these big claims, but really it's just vaporware or it's more like Duke Nukem Forever.
It took forever.
except for that game I don't think was that wasn't the reason that was delayed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's just so many things could come in that you're not expecting. That rushing it out and then working on updates may be better because you don't know what's going to happen if your time.
Well, it's better because you actually exist, and you say, here, I already did this. Here, even though the code's messy, it exists. This is a thing that exists. I'm not saying that it's going to be the best code ever, but it's not out yet, and it's going to have this and that and be all modular and stuff.
Especially if you need that sort of income from if you're selling your game, you need that income to actually build on it and update and everything. So it's good to get it out there as quick as possible so you can start getting that money coming in. I know a lot of games these days seem to be going to the free-to-play market where you can download and sign up for an account and it's completely free, and then there's sort of like the microtransactions in the game. Notably, some of the notable free-to-play games, League of Legends, and also Heroes of Newerth, the same game.
Yeah. A lot of people like to nickname that freemium, but I call it... It was really popular in Korea
It's getting pretty popular, yeah. I've seen more and more games to go into that free to play style, or freemium, as you said. I mean, I've even seen some sort of a Diablo 3-esque game that's going to be free to play that they're actually in closed beta right now called Path of Exile. So stuff like that gets me intrigued by what's possible. Just getting your game out there and letting people play it and making up their own mind whether they want to spend money in the game. Because first you got to get them involved in a game to where they want to invest that money.
Yeah. Well, that works. I mean, they like the game, and then they're much more likely to buy a really useless junk. Yeah. I've seen the most useless things being sold on MapleStory before, and it sells pretty fast. So that's what I meant by if they're in the game, they're much more likely to buy crap, and much more of it, and then they end up spending more money on that than they did if the game was just like a $50 game or something like that.
And MapleStory just recently, the other day, released on Steam. So people could try that out. Was that from Nexus, right? Or Nexon?
Yeah, I was there back in 2007 or 2006 when it was not on Steam.
The graphics are 2D anime style, but still a popular game despite its graphics. And that just goes to show you that the gameplay is more important than the visual effects.
Well, I don't know if I want to defend that game on gameplay. It's like one of the most repetitive games I've ever played. I mean, I do kind of like how it looks like a storybook, though, but... Yeah. It's not. There's better 2D games out there, like Letale, for example. Well, I don't know. I wrote reviews on both those games on my project log. It's how always listed at the left. And the problem with Tale is it's a fun game if their network programming wasn't bad. See, they did it where you move, and you move if the server sends back you moving, right? So if you lag, you could let go, and your character would still be walking for a while. And, you know, the controls start to feel kind of stiff, like it's a Castlevania game. Only if your internet's at all even slower, it gets even stiffer, and sometimes it can be kind of annoying.
Would you say it's difficult? The networking programming is pretty difficult when you're dealing with that type of party in game development. The whole latency issue with different players and different latencies.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just wrote my own game, and I'm having problems with where you attack, the damage appears like a half a second later. I'm trying to figure out how to get through, because you gotta make your client make up stuff of what it predicts is going to happen from what you're doing to reduce lag.
Yeah.
You can't actually get rid of the lag. That's the secret to network game programming, or at least for action games.
It's interesting to think about it that way. It's that the cable's around my foot again. It's interesting to think about, like, what goes into game development that people might not think about. Is if you're actually playing this online game, the network portion of that game is very important.
Oh yeah, well, if you're planning on ever bringing your game online, you should make it network to begin with. That's the best advice you give anybody.
Don't add it later on and try to cram it in there.
Make it in from the core out. Make it a network game.
And I know some of these frameworks that we were talking about actually have the network stuff built in towards makes it a little easier if all you want to do is mess around with it. But if you want to do it more in-depth, hardcore development and stuff like that, messing with your own language and learning how to do this stuff's pretty important.
Yeah, well, it's not too hard. It's basically just sockets, UDP and TCP.
And DirectX kind of helps a little bit with their whole networking stuff as well.
They disbanded that long time ago.
Do they?
Direct Play is obsolete.
So you gotta find some other tools or make your own then.
Well, all it was is basically a bunch of stuff written on top of WinSock. So just use WinSock is basically what the takeaway from that is.
You can see the last time I messed with DirectX.
Yeah, it's a lot of I still have a book written for Direct Draw.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Direct Draw is obsolete.
They have they don't have any 2D type things. Don't you have to use the 3D and make it kind of a 2D thing?
Yeah, all you have to do is set the orthographic perspective on the view transformation matrix, and then just makes Z 0, and you can and just draw quads. It's actually, we have computers where it's faster just to pretend it's 3D and draw a quad and make a tile out of that. It's actually faster to do that. It's kind of strange, I think, these days. Like drawing a tile map is as fast as drawing 1024 randomly rotating squares, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's exactly as fast, you know. It's just kind of strange.
There's no real need to go just plain 2D.
Yeah, I mean, with the quads, then you can have shaders and tinting and all that stuff.
Yeah. SDL is one of those things where if you want to just go straight 2D, you could use SDL for that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, or if you want to go 3D, I mean, I use DirectX 9 with SDL, so...
Yeah. There's just so many options up. You know? I can see how some people might get overwhelmed, and that's why I'm trying to point out all these different types of frameworks and tools and everything they can use. I know, taco's still in my mouth. But I know that a lot of people that get into game development, that C is still a big language as far as game development goes.
Yeah, well, all of that complicated issues only arise when you write your own engine, though. Basically, when you get one that exists, it's just all there. They built it all.
C and all its offshoots, C++, C Sharp even sometimes, as far as XNA goes. I think even, what was it? I think UDK or Unity, one of those has the ability to use C Sharp kind of code, or more of a scripting thing.
Yeah.
And even Objective-C as far as iPhone game development, all that stuff goes.
Yeah, I just learned on the PC the most straightforward way I can think of. Well, there was a time I wrote for the Game Boy Advance with C, but that was just kind of a little bit of fun.
Seems like most of the people in chat are messing around on a online Blackboard thing, drawing pictures of penises.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that.
I thought it was pretty funny. I believe it was Modi who pointed it out that it's like given a social drawing platform, it's guaranteed that within a certain amount of time that a penis will show up.
Yeah, it's like chat roulette.
Yeah. Oh wow, we've already got we're almost at 8 o'clock. We've talked a lot about game development, and that's what I was planning on doing because I know that you're really in. I've talked about game development with people in the past before, but nobody yet has gone as much into game development as you have. So I thought it'd be a perfect topic to discuss.
Yeah, I kind of had to do. Well, it's fun for me, so
Yeah,
I always enjoy it.
yeah. And, it's interesting to hear that point of view from somebody who is a one-man band as far as like making their own games, doing their own art, doing their own music, and their own sound effects and stuff. Because there are people out there that may want to make games, but they don't really know people with these skills, and they're just making your own isn't a bad idea.
Be the Renaissance game creator.
Yeah, I've seen some. I mean, Minecraft wasn't that just the one man?
That was a couple of people, but still.
Yeah, but it's huge, even with the limited amount of the limited visualness of it. It's just a bunch of blocks. How hard is that, right?
It's the reason why my game is also constructive is because games like that, technically, it's a game making a game.
Yeah.
So they're really quick to write.
I've seen some pretty interesting Minecraft videos, and I think that's one of the reasons it's so huge. Because you could do so much with just such a simple.
That's all the players spending their every waking hour building the giant Eiffel Tower or something.
Yeah, the computers in the game.
Or the graphing calculator. Yeah, I mean, I don't. If I had time, I might have done something like that. But I kind of have a job in school and things like that.
That's why this is the final episode, because I got classes starting here Monday and a job as a tutor on the college. So exciting! I'm going to be very busy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite videos, going back to Minecraft though, it was a video of a man who created a sheep launcher. I think it was. He would just light the thing and sheep go flying up in the air. I'd laugh so hard. I don't know why. So you play Minecraft. Any other games that you find interesting as far as creativeness? So Minecraft certainly is a creative game.
Well, I host a Minecraft server, and I host a Terraria server, and that's about it.
And I've never heard of that Terraria. Is that like Minecraft?
Yeah, but it's more of a game than Minecraft, and it's in 2D pretty much. It's more like a game where you make weapons and you fight stuff, and it's more. They meant it to be more like that than Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft is kind of like just a free world, and they have like the creepers and stuff that come. There aren't really. It's not gameplay. It's just kind of a nuisance.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite genre of game?
Well, yeah, I said before it was RPGs.
RPG. Oh, I'm sorry. So, what was your favorite RPG? I know that recently I've been playing a lot of Invictus from Nexon, as far as online games go, and
I haven't really had a favorite game. I just play whatever.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite. Lots of things. Well, I have a favorite animal, but that's about it.
What's your favorite animal?
Oh, I don't know.
So, what do you prefer for a platform though? Do you prefer to play on a PC?
Lately, yeah. I used to be a console gamer.
Yeah, I haven't played a console game since the original Xbox. I just mostly focus around PC, especially like RPGs. I love RPGs, but I also like online ones. Like I played a lot of World of Warcraft.
I used to play MMOs, but I just kind of got tired of them.
Do you like any type of RTS games? I've played some StarCraft 2 recently, and I realized I'm not.
I don't really play. I just play RPGs basically. I don't really. The online games consist mostly of me playing Minecraft, I guess. I don't know.
Well, how about coming up to the end, so just one more question. It's like, do you know any like type of indie RPGs that you'd like to see get bigger? Maybe get people to try them out and stuff.
I don't really know. I haven't really been keeping up with the indie crowd either.
Busy with work and everything.
Yeah, or when I'm done with work, then it's my own stuff, and I don't really sit there and browse.
Yeah, I know how that is. Yeah, there's I go from these spurts where like I'm really into the programming, I'm doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden all I'm doing is playing games, not really programming much. So it's kind of like whatever my passion switch. Sometimes I go back.
By the way, Wolf Coder, why are you so mysterious? Well, why are you not mysterious? I don't know.
Would you say that the mysteriousness is beneficial and your online presence?
No, it's just a sort of paranoid caution I have. I mean, it's one reason I refuse to have a Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some people that refuse to do Facebook. My brother, but that's for an entirely different reason. Apparently his work, he works at a casino, requires that they have access, not just to allow them to friend him, but have access to his Facebook page. It's a requirement, so he just doesn't have one.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little interesting.
Yeah, I heard about those string of cases. I would have just adamantly refused.
Let's see, what's this here? Adam Spade says, "Why you not a girl? It helps on interwebs."
Well, I could be if you want me to.
Oh, see, there you go. Spoils, but we could just forget, right? Or as B9 was talking, we'll just pretend either way, whichever one we want.
Yeah. Whichever one is most useful at the moment.
So, unless anybody's got any additional questions, we're pretty much out of time. We're hitting 8 o'clock now, and we'll sum things up and be done. I do want to mention that this show isn't necessarily over. It's definitely, this is my last episode that I'm doing as far as hosting goes, because I don't think I'm going to be able to come back, because things are just going to keep coming up, and I'm going to have in priority. But hopefully we can find number 2, and I can work out something with a new host or something where we can get the show to come back, because having it just end after 16 episodes, that's like a season, we'll just start a new season.
Yeah, let's see here. So, I'm a game developer, I'm a furry, I like anime, and I also have to do art. Well, I like doing art. That's pretty much all I can summarize.
Simple person.
Well, I'm not simple, but that's all I can. It's really the best summary of me.
Yeah. So we knew this was going to be all about game development. I hope that people who watch are taking some new knowledge as far as game development goes.
I don't know what they can take from me, but if it helps them out, all the better.
We've introduced some new some interesting ideas as far as just doing it all yourself, because apparently it works.
Yeah.
As well as just rushing your game to get it done and to start updating it, because I think a lot of times if you have like a huge passion but you're also a perfectionist, your game could be in a development stage and just continually be developed and never get released because you're always
it's not going to come out. Yeah, I see that all the time.
I think one of the key things to being a good developer is not to be a perfectionist.
Yeah, well, you can't be too sloppy. You got to be careful. You got to do it just right. You got to be fast, but you have to write it great and fast, which is hard to do. That's basically
it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I'll sit there with code for like a day trying to make it work just perfect, and I was thinking to myself, it's like, I could have so much more done if I just got it to work, and then gone back to it later to fix it to make it better. And that's one thing that I think that people should realize. So, doesn't look like there's much. Let's see. B9 asks, "What the fuck am I going to do Friday nights now?"
What do you mean?
Because the show isn't going to be on anymore, so you can do whatever you want. You could actually go to the YouTube channel and rewatch the previous episodes. How about that?
Or just go play Rock Band.
Rock Band, play a game, work on a game, make your own. Make your own Rock Band. There's actually a game coming out that's already out that I'm actually looking at called Symphony.
Oh yeah, that one.
It looks interesting because it works off the music. I'd love to play it with some black metal or something.
That's a weird sounding game.
Yeah, well, for those that don't know what Symphony is, it's basically a game that it's a space shooter game. You know, where you're looking down on your little spacecraft and shooting, but everything is based on music. So the song that's playing generates the enemies and that sort of things. So depending on the beat and all that stuff, it could get crazy on those games. So I like that because depending on the song, it could be a completely different game.
Well, I personally prefer Osu.
This guy goes press around even. It's because I'm on a desk and my arms are like propped up here, so it looks weird. My shoulders. It looks like my right arm's all muscular from probably all the masturbation, and then my left arm's just all skinny. It's just an awkward angle. All right, thanks for actually coming on the show and revealing a little bit more about yourself than people might not have known. But there's still quite a bit of mystery as far as Wolf Coder goes.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not like you can just simply ask me and then I can tell you. You know, that's the one thing I think is pretty funny about this whole thing.
I know you have you really enjoy Japanese. You write a lot in that. In fact, your Skype thing here is in Japanese. I assume it just says Wolf
Yeah,
Coder.
I know how to. I can read, write, and listen to Japanese.
You probably have to if you're really into anime.
Well, I can only speak it if somebody is talking to me in Japanese, and then I can speak it.
So you can respond in Japanese, or
Yeah, I can respond in Japanese. I can't speak in Japanese.
all right. Well, thanks for being on the show. Wrong. That's the splash screen. A little too soon. Thanks for being on the show. Especially the last episode. It was an interesting episode to end it all on.
Well, no problem. Glad to be on the show.
All right. All right, and that's the show, everyone. It's a lot of shows. I know it sucks. You know, you guys don't know what to do with your nights now, but hopefully you guys will find something interesting to with me. And, it won't be completely boring without me around. Tacos are freaking awesome. These are only like 49 cents, so I got like a dozen downstairs still. So thanks for watching. It seems so awkward to just end this and knowing that I won't do another show. But that's what happens. See you guys. Hopefully the show will be back with a new host. And you could still enjoy Dreaming Could Live.
Mm-hmm.